promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna make a scene. Got lights, cameras, action, but I promise that I won't be seen.
My name is Theodore.
My name is
and
Markeisha.
I am about 8 years old.
You 8?
And I'm 10.
9 years.
I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
Okay, do you recall what happened 6 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah. I got taken away.
I don't really remember.
It felt like I was fighting a losing battle.
I felt sad, mad.
If there was one thing that you could tell a child going through the same
I just
thing,
wanted
okay,
to
what's the
end.
hardest part about it? Easiest part to deal with?
There was a lot of obstacles, but I overcame them.
Children, just know that it will be alright.
Before I begin telling my story, I must give warning that this story may potentially trigger some people who have similar background stories and current situations. I cried reflecting on the past event. However, if we can find the strength to get through this story, you may find some valuable information throughout my story. If you don't think you can, I understand, and you don't have to endure the agony, guilt, or the emotions. Just remember you're strong and will come out victorious if you never give up. You can still leave questions in the comments, and I will try to help you even if you can't continue. I worked at night, so the daytime was supposed to be bedtime for me. Sleep refused me. I was restless, and when I closed my eyes, I always had nightmares. Clowns haunted me, the house, my mother, my children, always jolted me awake. I'd look at the clock. I've only slept 10 minutes, maybe sometimes 15 minutes. Couldn't go back to sleep. Go for a 10-mile walk. Self-hate and guilt cycle. But little did I know, things were about to get worse. My aunt soon informed me she was putting my children's father and me on child support. I begged her not to put me on it. I told her putting me on child support would stop me from doing what I needed to get the kids back. They would leave me just enough to get by. But it still happened. I was so hurt. The knife of betrayal shoved a little deeper. I was mad. Even though I didn't have the kids, I still tried to provide what they needed. I still went to do their hair, tried to do damage control from what I did to cause the separation. I still tried, but being put on child support made me so mad I needed to vent, to release that energy, and that's what I did. But instead of listening ears, what I got was attacked and my feelings made invalid. My daughter's dad defended her decision, defended it as if they were in a relationship, and told me I can't be upset. Meanwhile, he and my eldest son's dad would fuss at me, placing total responsibility for the situation on me, as if it was mine alone to carry. And I carried a lot of that weight. I just wanted people to also recognize their part. Ultimately, I came up with a solution and offered it to both of them. Help me finish fixing the house so I can get the kids back, and it will end the problem. They refused it and again told me it was my fault and I needed to fix it. I reminded them of how I asked them to watch their own kids while I worked before the situation and how they refused to, but they still said it was all my fault. My oldest child's dad even commented, "I'll get custody of him before I pay child support." I was livid and told him not to. I told him, "You're not doing it for our son, you're doing it for yourself. You might even cause more damage. First he got separated from his mother, now you want to separate him from his siblings?" My daughter's dad fussed, and I reminded him of how I told him I didn't have help, but he took someone else's word over mine. I even kept asking him to move in with me several times before the situation, but he refused. That conversation came back to haunt him later. He even told me to consider that maybe the kids weren't better where they are. Finally, I had enough and I blocked them on everything. I didn't have the kids anyway, so there was actually no reason to continue conversation, especially since they refused to help. It was overwhelming, not to mention when I vented to close family, not including my own dad and granddad or my uncles. The same occurred. It was all my fault. Nobody else affected my decision. And with that, I stopped and let depression, anxiety, loneliness, guilt, and thoughts along with complete responsibility barrel me into an oblivion.
I shine so bright.